What's up? What's up? So, 180's in the shed. Last video, where was I? I was at Ebisu? Yes. When did I last drive that? That was like last? I can't remember when, but yeah, that was the last video. That was like roughly a week ago. So back down at my place now. Just driven the 180 into the shed. I had a look at the list before I started talking to you, because you know how I'm always like, I got a list and then I'm like, I don't know what's on the list, I have to look at the list. I know what's on the list now because I just looked at it. I don't know exactly the entirety of the list, but I've got a good idea. So 180's in the shed because I want to put an exhaust on it because, you know, didn't get into D1 division or get to drive because I didn't have an exhaust on the car. So I bought one from Up Garage. Usually in Australia that would be something I would make. However, stainless in Japan is extremely expensive and annoyingly hard to get in Australia. I think I pay like roughly like 27 a meter for some like 3-inch 304 1.6 mil wall stainless, and in Japan it's like 116 a meter. So it's just not worth me making an exhaust for the car because roughly need 5 meters to make an exhaust. It's going to cost me, you know, $600 just in material, and then I've got to put V-bands on it, and then I've got to, you know, cut it all up and make it. Take me a day to do that. So yeah, it's just not worth it. So yeah, order one from Up Garage. I'm going to put an exhaust on it. Once the exhaust is on it, I am going to sort out this Johnny here. This was off my old front bar. As you can see, it's kind of still on there. But those bolts are like rusted to the shithouse. So what I need to do is like slip the grinder in the center of that, cut all those off, and then I'll probably put riv nuts, drill them out and put riv nuts in them. And then that way I can mount that to my front bar, and that way I can mount that to the car so the front bar isn't held up by zip ties anymore. I still need to get a front Rio for it, but that's not on the priority list at the moment. Yeah, so I'll put the exhaust on, jack the car up at the back, then I'll put the exhaust on, then I'll straighten that out, mount that to the front bar, then I can put the front bar back on the car. But actually, before I put the front bar back on the car, what I want to do is I want to make some mounts for these combat eyes because they just are just kind of floppy cocking around in there and it's not ideal. So yeah. They're mounted at the back, but I can't get them to mount anywhere at the front because there's just nothing in there. I'm not sure how these are meant to mount, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically make a bar that kind of like comes off where the front bar actually slides on and bolts on there, and then go down and then sort of follow along this contour, and then I'll bolt the headlight, like there's like a little lip on the inside of here. I'll bolt that to that, and then that way they're like fixed. Yeah, again, don't even know how they're meant to mount, but that's my plan. And then once I've done that, I will put these little headlights in here that I've bought. Hopefully they're gonna be bright enough. I might test them first before I go making up some contraption to get those in. And the whole reason I've gone this route is just because, you know, I'd be naive to say I'm not going to crash the car again. And I've crashed it like 3 times on that right side, and it's cost me like $400 every time just for the headlight, not to mention all the other damage. So I was like, fuck this, I'm not putting headlights back in it again because I'm going to crash it into a wall. So yeah, that's where I'm at headlight wise. And then once that's done, I'm going to bring my other bonnet back in, and I'm going to actually make a little like latch for the top of it, a bar that comes down. I have no idea how I'm going to make it yet. But yeah, this is the bonnet off Bridget and my other 180 that we rent out because I didn't want to drill holes in my new rad support that's all nice to put bonnet pins in. I also don't like the look of bonnet pins. So yeah, that's where I'm at. You guys know where I'm at. Let's get into sorting this rig out. Jeez, unwrapping this thing was exhausting. Alright, car's jacked up, jack stands runner. I'm going to pull that side skirt off to make it easier. And then I'm going to grab some flange gaskets. I've got a couple over there. And then I'll put the decat pipe on just like loosely. And then I'll fit the rest of the exhaust. and then I'll push the exhaust up as high as I can, and then I'll tighten everything up. That way it's like as high as it can go. Not that this thing is by any means low, so I really don't have to worry about that. But it would be nice to just have it as high as it is, because getting in here is a nightmare. Alright, let's get into this. Exhaust is on. That was an absolute mission out of 10, because obviously when I backed that into the truck, it bent the dump pipe, and the dump pipe is still bent, and honestly just CBF making a new one. That'll be the first thing I do once I get myself a hoist. I'll just be like, sick, new dump pipe, here we go. And I'll sort that out then. But yes, that's on. It is actually super tucked, which is sick. But yeah, the rear mounts on it unfortunately aren't there, because the Rio that's on the car, actually the mounts are built into the Rio. So it's on the mount in front of the sway bar, and on the mount just behind it on the rear cradle. And then as I was moving the dump pipe, I noticed that the screen is cracked again, which is pretty wild. This is obviously this real thin wall stuff. You can see it's not actually cracked on where I've welded it. It's like for the section that did re-crack, it's just cracked sort of below that. So yeah, I'm just gonna weld this up again and then see if I can order some like 1.6 mil. I think this might be just like 1 mil, maybe like 1.2. It's pretty thin, so I'd imagine just with all the vibration and heat in there, it's just going to continue to do so. So I'll order a V-band, some thicker pipe, and then if I'm going to go to all that effort, I may as well make it cool and make it come out somewhere that's cool. Not out the bonnet, because it's been done a million times, but maybe out the top of the quarter, or I don't know. I've never had a screamer go anywhere other than down, so yeah, might be fun to play with. Let's weld this up, stick this on, and then I'll start the car and I'll see what it sounds like. Well, you can't see much from here. Here we go. Screamer's back on. Yeah, I suppose let's start it and see what it sounds like. I'm actually going to get it off the jack before I start it, because it's in the dodgy pit of destiny and it'll probably fall off, so I'll let it down and then we'll start it up. All right, let's hear what it sounds like. That's going to annoy the shit out of me, that not being in the center. But that's a million times quieter. Sick. I can tick those couple of things off the list. What did I say I was going to do next? I forget. I'll put the side skirt back on, because they can go back on now. And then I'll probably take the front bar off and then weld that intercooler pipe to that bottom side of the intercooler pipe, because I keep popping that silicone joiner. And then I'll make the headlight mounts, and then we'll mount that front bar, cut up that front bar thing and put that on the front bar, and we can mount the front bar back on, and then we'll put the headlights in, and yeah, we'll have some lights so we can do nighttime burnouts. Alright, I have to go tow a friend's car at the moment, but I'm not sure if I'll be back tonight. You'll either see me shortly or you'll see me tomorrow. Hello. Just doing a few little bits and pieces to the 180. I've obviously forever just got a list of things that I want to do to it. So I've just taken the old shift boot off it because it was a bit flimsy and crusty. This is the old one. Pretty dead. And I've just put a bride one on there to make it look tidy. And then the next thing on my list of things I wanted to do, the need to do is this intercooler pipe. I need to make that one piece. And then the want to do is put a stereo in it. So I'm tossing up between what to do between those two things now. Yeah, I don't actually know the next time I'm going to be driving. It'll be sometime in this coming week. But yeah, I was wanting to go for a drive tonight, and I'm like, should I fix the intercooler pipe or should I have a stezzer while I'm driving around? So yeah, I'm about to cut the front bar, zip ties off, pull the front bar off to get that intercooler pipe done. And then if I have time, I'll do the stereo. That seems like the smart option. So yeah, let's get into getting this sorted. All right, all sorted, back to one piece. So had to cut a bit off here where it was bead rolled, and then there was like a 10 degree on there with a bead roll on it because I was running that silicon 45 over there. So yeah, I've cut those two bead rolled parts off. I had a tight radius 90, which I cut in half, so it's 45, and then I had to add like, I think it was like 18 or 180 mil. No, that doesn't look right. That doesn't look anywhere near that big. Maybe it looks like 10 centimeters. Yeah, you get the idea. So now it's a one piece. Hopefully this will stop my cooler piping popping off issue. Now I still need to make the whole other side, but I haven't had any issues with that yet. So now that this is fine, I'll probably start having issues with the other side. So I'm going to put this back on now, put the front bar back on, and what time is it? It's 9:24. I might put the stereo in, I'll see how I'm feeling. I'm getting a bit hungry, so yes, let's get this on, front bar on, and we'll reevaluate. Sorted. Oh, it's actually rubbing there. So I'll push it in a little bit more this side so it doesn't do that, because I don't know, it must have just been off, but I would still rather that not. Yeah, I don't want it to do that. So yes, I'll slide it in that a little bit more. And I've actually got some pinch weld that I've bought, so I might tidy up that little dag just there, and then I'll put pinch weld around all of that, and it'll be good to go. What's up, what's up? I have no idea where I left you guys last. However, sorry, just waiting to see. I bought a laptop because I need to change some settings on the S14 so that I can stop hitting cuts and actually drive it as it's meant to drive. But that's not what this video is about. So yes, just got slightly distracted because I walked out here. It's time to paint the 180. I don't have too much time to get into it today because I've only just sort of started to have some time to get into the car, and it's 6:06, and I need to head down to Osaka at like 8:20 to get some tattoo removal. So yeah, not too much time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to prep what I can. So I've got, yeah, what have I got? Roughly 2 hours until I need to have a shower and get ready. So I figured I'd do some interior stuff first. So what I've decided to do, God's gross these days, is I really want to paint these window switches, these sort of door handle covers, and then I really would like to paint like the outside of these, except I feel like they're going to be a mission to get out without me breaking. I'd also like to paint just this, not the rest of the center console, just sort of that part. So and also this part around the shifter. What else did I want to paint? Obviously the same side over there. And then the cage, once the cage goes in. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at the moment. Those are the interior bits I wanted to paint. So I figured I'll get these out of the car. I can stand them up quite quickly and then possibly get some primer on them within 2 hours. Not sure. I'd also possibly like to paint the rear of my seat. That would be pretty cool to do. But yeah, I figured I'd let you guys know where I'm at. And yeah, let's get into it. I just got the bits and pieces out of the car. This is a new spray gun that I've just bought. Just because I was having issues with getting stuff on, like wet enough with this setup. Both these guns are just off Amazon here in Japan. I've got a really good gun in Australia, which I'll bring back with me the next time I'm there. But yeah, I'm just always penny pinching here, and I was like, I don't want to go and buy another expensive gun, seeing as I've already got one in Australia. So I'll bring that back with me next time. This one's got a really small pot on it. And it also side feeds, which I've never dealt with before. However, the controls to control how much paint I have coming out, and also the fan or the spray pattern, seems to be so much better on this. And I'm not a painter by any means, guys. I've just done this on my own stuff a lot. But in my experiences, you want a gun that you can pull absolutely everything apart. So you want to be able to pull this tube and absolutely everything out of it. Whereas this gun, you can't actually do that. You can pull, bits and pieces off, but you can't pull that full tube all the way out to be able to clean in the gun properly and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I think that gun was only like maybe like 6,000 yen, which is like 60 bucks AUD. This gun was a little bit more than that. I think it was like 80. But yeah. So what I'm going to do now is just remove these window switches from the faces, I suppose you'd call them, or the door handle covers. So I can get them out, and then I'm going to sand those up. I won't be able to remove this boot, because the way you need to actually put these on is you need to push the boot on and then melt the plastic so they stay on there. So I'll just undo the 4 screws, and then I'll remove that with the full fascia, and that way that'll be empty. Not sure what I'm going to do about the sticker, because I really like the little Tomei sticker on there, so I might try and mask that up. We'll see how that goes. I might just be able to order another sticker. It'd be easier to just peel that off. I do actually have a Tomei sticker that is like 6-speed. So if anyone has a 5-speed one and they want a 6-speed one, I'll swap you. And then I don't have to worry about that sticker, but obviously this video is not going to come out until a while after I've painted this stuff. So yeah, if you're seeing it and you do have a sticker, hit me up. Alright, let's prep all this stuff up for paint, get primer on all of it, and then we'll start mixing stuff up. I'm super excited to I've got a whole bunch of flake from Tropocal Glitz. Like so much flake here that I'm eager to get down on this stuff. So yeah, let's prep this stuff up, and hopefully we can get some paint on it before I need to head down to Osaka. Okay, just got everything stripped off. Did yank that sticker off. The sticker's cooked now, so won't be using that again. Let's connect the airline up to the other shed, and then let's get the sander in here. Sand all these up, mix up some primer, prime everything. We'll see if we've got time to put some paint on. I think the primer I can use for wet on wet, which means that I can basically prime it and then paint it directly after. But yeah, we'll see how things prep up. All this is prepped up now. It was an absolute mission prepping all this because of how many contours is in everything. So I smashed everything I could with the Orbi, and then had to finish everything off with a red Scotch-Brite. For memory, the red Scotch-Brite is like 320 grit. So if you are doing something like this, you are going to struggle to get into all the little corners, and then also into all the little contours of all these bits and pieces. So my recommendation would be to definitely get yourself an Orbi. If you don't have an air compressor or air line to be able to do that, you can get electric ones, but still will definitely do the job. I've sanded whole cars in the past with those, and they've been great. But preferably if you can get an Orbi that's basically like powered by air and you have the tools, I'd recommend doing that. And then getting yourself some red Scotch-Brite to finish these things off. Yes, it's 7:45 now. It's taken a lot longer than I thought. So I'm going to have a shower, head down to Osaka and get some tattoo removal done, and then I'll probably come back and prime this and paint it, depending on how I'm feeling. But I also do need a train tonight, so lots still on. Try to get some routine back in my life, because of either getting very little sleep and it mentally fucking me. So yes, I will either see you guys shortly when I'm back here priming this stuff up and painting this stuff. I'd like to get it done tonight because, you know, I'm excited to do so. And yeah, but we'll see. So I'll either see you shortly or I'll see you tomorrow. Back in the shed. It's 1:09 AM. I really wanted to get the stuff sprayed tonight, so I'll just mix up some primer. First time I've mixed this type of primer here in Japan, so just about to start priming some stuff up and we'll see how it turns out. First coat of primer down, so just wait for that to tack off, and then I'll give it another heavy coat, and then I'm going to go mix up some paint and get the paint on, and then I'll mix up some cool flake in some clear, and we'll get some flake on it. Okay, so it is 2:13. I've just done my second coat of primer and it started to come out like a little bit spotty and like spitty. And usually that means that the paint is like reacting, or I've read the data sheet wrong. So I've just come back inside to retranslate what's on the container. So it's meant to be 10 to 2. So your 10 or your 100 is meant to be a primer. Your 2 or 20 is meant to be your hardener, and then your 10 to 20 grams, that's usually when you're mixing paint, like 10 to 20% or 0 to 30%, depending on like how hot it is and how thin you sort of want to get the paint. But this is how I mixed it at 20 grams, and then I've actually come around here and scanned this QR code, and it's actually given me a data sheet online, and it said to wet on wet it needs to be 10 to 2, and then a 40 rather than in grams. So yes, that's what I'm going to do tomorrow. I'm going to wait for that that primer to harden off tonight. Then I'll wake up in the morning and I will Scotch Brite it all back, or just sand it back and start again, which is a little bit annoying. And then I'm going to mix it 10 to 2 with basically, it almost thins out to be like 50% thinners, 50% hardener, which is, 50% thinners, it's like 5 or 10 to 5. So 10 parts paint, 5 parts thinner, which is usually how like the primers I've used in the past go. So yes, as I said, I'm not a painter, and the only reason I have learnt these things is from doing shit like this and fucking it up. So yeah, I'm going to have a shower and go to sleep, wake up in the morning and start again. Hello. It's days and days later. I don't even know where I left you guys off, but basically I was just like, fuck this, I'm not doing this. So yeah, I've driven the car for a couple of days with no interior pieces in it. But today's the day I'm like, I better get this done. So I've walked back into the shed. As you guys can see how rough this is from how the primer was reacting to me fucking the data sheet up and mixing it wrong. So I'm about to sand everything back and start again. So I'm just about to connect the compressor, sand all this back, and then I'll set everything up to be resprayed again. So I'll get back to you guys once everything's sanded. Everything is all sanded up now. Just got the exhaust fan on. I'm just about to go mix some paint up, then I'll wipe everything down and yeah, start getting some paint on there. All the black's down now. So now I just need to mix up some clear with the flake that I want, and let's get it on. Okay, so I've decided to go with the Sunburn from Tropocal Glitz. So I actually have no little spoon to measure this, so I'm just going to throw some in and throw a little bit more in until I'm happy with the consistency. I wouldn't recommend doing this if it's something you want to match in the future, because you'll never get it the same. So yeah, I'm just going to start dumping some flake in there, and I'll get some layers down. This is the consistency of it. Fair bit of flake in there, as you can see. So we'll have to bury this with some flake over the top. And I'm keen to see how this looks. Alright, that's the first layer down. It's pretty epic. I am going to do one more. That probably looks like a little bit much, but yeah, I'm going to go one more. And yeah, that looks epic. Then I'll mix them straight clear, and I'll bury all this flake because that might stand up a little bit. Looks like it's not, but would be good to get that covered up. But yes, I'm sitting here now having to forever twirl this gun, because once you have flake in here, once that sits at the bottom and sits at the bottom of the pot, the flake's obviously heavier inside the clear and it will fall to the bottom and then just clog the gun. So yes, wait 10 minutes for this stuff to flash off and then we'll go again. The second coat down, looking pretty epic. Pretty stoked with that. Would have liked to have gotten a fair bit more on the shifter. You can see over this side I kind of like didn't flick the flake in there. But I got something else I want to do with the shifter and the center console. Yes, that's what we're looking like at the moment. Now what I wanted to do with the bottom of the gear surround is actually flick some overcast flake into the bottom of it and kind of like blend it downwards, and then carry that on into the center console. And I wanted to do the same with the shifter, because the car is going to be basically like a gunmetal bottom and a red top. And I kind of wanted to sort of carry the same sort of theme like in the car in some way, so this is what I've decided to do. So let's mix some of this. I've mixed up 50ml of clear, and yeah, we'll mix this in and flick some of this on, and then we'll just continue clearing the whole thing to bury all this flake. Alright, that's the overcast. I flicked in there as well. Just give you an idea of that. So, you know, like a little bit grey. Now we'll get this stuff all cleared up. Clean as a bean. Second coat of clears down. It's really starting to flatten out now, which is sick. So you can see. Yeah, stoked as. So I'll just wait for this to flash off, then I'll do one more, and that'll be me. Third clear coat down. It is nice and buried. I don't know if you guys can see how flat it is, but yes, I've gone a little bit overboard on the clear for this one, so you can see that little run there. I've actually got one over the other side. Can't really see it, it's just there, so I'll have to wet sand that out. But yeah, stoked with how that's kind of all blended in. Yeah, happy as can be. Super nice and flat now. I like glass, so that's me done. Look at the puddle of clear in there. Wild. Alright. This will dry overnight and I'll chuck it in the car in the morning and I'm going to drive Mayhem. Stoked. Massive thank you to Tropocal Glitz. I've been using these guys' flake for years. Yeah, sells itself. Look at it. It's insane. See you guys soon.